Okay, so how about if we go ahead and get started? And as others join us, please feel free to use the chat to make introductions, to ask questions, or to just share thoughts along the way. Kelly and I will be monitoring that chat as we share with you a little bit today about the PAVE program, Peer Advisors for Veteran Education. So Kelly, if you can go ahead and advance the slide for us, Kelly's going to have our run of show today. First off, as we get started, my name is Michelle Keys, and I am an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry and the director of PAVE and of our MSPAN programs, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Callie Lake, who you may have seen yesterday presenting as part of the that week events through the DEI panel, is the program manager for PAVE. Hats off and many thanks again to Phil Larson for inviting us this year and for putting together a stellar program. I know you've had a lot of different options and opportunities of things to attend early this week and later on in the days, and Phil always works exceptionally hard to bring some diversity to those talks. So we appreciate your efforts, Phil, and thanks for including us this year. Also want to give some acknowledgements to those who have funded our work. The PAVE program, as I'm going to share with you, has been operational for 9, almost 10 years, and that work has been funded over the period of time by a couple of different key foundations, including the May and Stanley Smith Charitable Trust, the McCormick Foundation, Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation, and Major League Baseball charities. We've also partnered very closely with Student Veterans of America and also at a national level with the VA, and of course with our PAVE campuses. So without their support, we would not be able to bring you this program and be able to serve the students that we do across the country. Kelly, next slide. Thank you. I have to pay attention. You're going to anticipate my next slides. So we are part of a larger organization, PAVE is, called MSPAN, Military Support Programs and Networks. And MSPAN was established at the University of Michigan within the Depression Center and the Department of Psychiatry in 2008 with the initiative to bring unique, new, innovative, evidence-based military mental health programs to the community. So the VA does a phenomenal job at serving veterans within their doors. However, having programs that meet veterans and their families where they were at was much less common, particularly when we first started this work in 2008 and on. So we've developed over the years a series of programs focused exclusively on military and veteran mental health, ways to overcome stigma, innovative approaches to outreach. So how do you reach veterans? How do you connect with veterans and their families? How do you get them access to services or help them even realize that services might be useful? We've then also moved on to designing and delivering different kinds of evidence-based services to support this population. Kelly, next slide. Currently, our MSPAN programs include 3 distinct initiatives, again, all with the mission of military mental health for service members, veterans, and families. The first program is called After Her Service, and After Her Service is a national program focused on women veterans and engaging women veterans in skill building resilience training and career coaching so that you can help at the intersection of mental health and employment. What we know, and certainly I think what many of us have seen recently in the news, is workplace mental health is very important. And if you're struggling with mental health, you're likely to struggle in the workplace. If you're struggling in the workplace, your mental health is likely to be impacted. So After Her Service offers an intervention specifically for women veterans for both workplace and mental health skills. Our second program, which has been funded for the last 7 years by the Department of Defense, is called Homefront Strong. And Homefront Strong is a resilience training program for military and veteran spouses that we have offered throughout the state of Michigan in partnership with the Michigan National Guard. And the third program, which we're going to talk about at length today, is PAVE, Peer Advisors for Veteran Education. So let's talk a little bit about veterans and college. My husband went to college, University of Illinois, on the Montgomery Bill. lots of years ago, but it was a game changer for him. And it was a game changer ultimately for our family. Since the Montgomery Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill passed in 2009 and the Forever GI Bill in 2017 have truly changed the options, grown the options for veteran education. And what we know is that veterans are utilizing these services. There's been a tremendous amount of money invested in veteran education. In the past 5 years, that number is over $60 billion. So as clinical researchers, as mental health practitioners, one of the things we've been interested in is how can we take an investment upwards of $60 billion and make sure that that investment actually works, that student veterans are able to go to college and able to succeed. How can we foster student veteran success? One of the things I want to share with you, if you haven't read it before and if you're interested in understanding a little bit more about the early years of student veteran services, is looking at a RAND report that was published in 2010. And this report is pretty dated at this point, and it hasn't been redone or updated in any way, but it really set the foundation for what we started to do with PAVE. And I think that the findings still ring true. And what the RAND report found is that there were 4 key ingredients to really fostering student veteran success. How do we help student veterans succeed on college campuses? One is to provide resources for the Phils of the world, provide resources for our veteran services coordinators, help them help students. Number 2, offer opportunities for veteran-focused campus information. So general student information is great, but do you have a way to share information that's just specifically for student veterans? Because they're more likely to pay attention to information that's specifically for them. Third, encourage student veteran communities, the power of peers, the power of connecting with people who have similar backgrounds and similar challenges, similar successes. And fourth, utilize fellow veterans, utilize other veterans, other students who've been there. They are really the key to supporting that college transition. And spoiler alert, PAVE does all 4 of those. So when the RAND report came out in 2010, and our group at IMSPAN was just starting to think about program development for student veterans, we reached out to Phil and we started talking with him as we began developing the first PAVE program. Kelly, next slide, thank you. We also conducted a student veteran survey in the early years of PAVE and surveyed over 700 student veterans at 10 college campuses nationwide. These were their top 5 concerns: educational, the social environment, occupational or work, and that includes both working while a student and also future work opportunities, economic stressors, and challenges in their primary support group. We've done smaller versions of that survey over the years, and also through our work with our student veteran teams, and every time those are the same top 5 that come up. We also looked at specifically mental health symptoms in that early survey with 700 students and found that in our sample, 48% of student veterans reported at least one mental health issue. Meaning in giving standardized survey of depression or of anxiety or post-traumatic stress, there are established cutoffs clinically where as a psychologist, I might be concerned about someone or want them to talk with someone. So almost 1 out of 2 reported something that would be concerning. 28% reported symptoms of depression, 23% reported symptoms of anxiety, 43% of those students reported symptoms of post-traumatic stress. If you've been following anything lately in the popular press or in higher ed news, you've seen that these numbers are very comparable and continuing to escalate to what we're seeing post-pandemic as well. In our early survey, we also found that 10% of student veterans reported recent thoughts of suicide, so 1 out of 10, with 1% reporting an attempt in the past year. With that, we know there are significant concerns. We know that some student veterans, not all, please no, not all, but some are struggling and they might need help. But there's a lot of barriers to seeking help. There's barriers for all of us in knowing we have a challenge and then actually getting the resources that we need. For student veterans, those who did not necessarily want to seek help, the #1 issue was an issue of independence. I want to deal with it on my own. Or noting that they had other places they got support from. They didn't want it to appear on their medical records, concerns about stigma and people treating them differently, or just knowledge. I don't know how serious this really is. So to that end, in understanding the needs of student veterans, seeing what RAND was reporting as being 4 key factors in helping, we worked with college campuses across the country to design and develop PAVE. And PAVE is a national program that's operated on local college campuses. So we at University of Michigan on the Michigan medicine side work together as a national team to help local campuses train incoming student veterans and connect or train existing senior student veterans to connect with incoming student veterans, to offer them peer support, access to resources, recommendations, and a helping hand over time. The goals of PAVE are to ease that transition from military life into academic life and what different rigors might be expected, to help student veterans feel a sense of connection and belonging to their campus. What we found over time in all of higher education literature is that students who feel more connected to their school and feel as if they belong do better academically. They're more likely to graduate. They're more likely to stick with it. PAVE also has a goal to help student teams, our PAVE teams on campuses, identify the mental health issues that other veterans might be experiencing and help connect them with resources. And maybe those resources are on campus, maybe those resources are off campus. Ultimately, with the goal of improving academic performance and retaining student veterans through graduation. As I mentioned, PAVE started in 2012, and when we very first started, we were on 3 campuses in Michigan. As you can see from the stars, we have spread far beyond our Michigan home base and are now operational in 45 campuses across the country, even way out in Hawaii. We're hoping for a field trip someday. So today what we want to talk about is giving you an idea of what the program actually is like on each of our campuses, and also some of the outcomes and the impact that we've seen over the years. Callie, if you want to go ahead.
Thanks, Michelle. Michelle gave all the background about the program, but when you think about who's involved with PAVE on each campus, on the left hand side of the screen is the campus team. So the campus administration, we call that individual the university champion or the college champion. There's somebody typically that's outside the Veteran Resource Center or the Veterans Office that supports student veterans and supports the implementation of PAVE, and it's just another cheerleader for that consistency of support for student veterans. And then we have a coordinator student veteran office, and that's the Phil. He is the veteran service coordinator for the University of Michigan. This member is a full-time, they wear many hats, so we understand that there also needs to be in that structure a student veteran team leader that helps implement the program and is part of the management of the program. And the team leader is somebody who's already successfully transitioned to campus life and we do ask that the position is paid because they do have some duties to submit us reports and get team meetings together. So there's a lot of leadership skills and responsibility that goes into that team leader position, which is great because coming out of the military and transitioning to campus, military members have a lot of experience in leadership roles. And so to put them into the team leader position is really wonderful to see them flourish again in this environment. And then you have your peer advisors, they're a volunteer position. Again, they've already successfully transitioned to college and campus life, but they will be connecting with those incoming student veterans. And on the right hand is the PAVE national team. So we help all those 45 campuses implement and support them and connect them with one another to support their student veterans on their campus. And so Michelle mentioned what is PAVE, and it's building that camaraderie that veterans experience with one another, that peer-to-peer support. And the 3 pillars of PAVE are really that outreach to student veterans, supporting their PAVE team, supporting the incoming student veterans, and linkage to resources. So pillar one is our outreach. It's using the innovative strategies to connect with those student veterans and raise awareness. So raising awareness, I always like to say, is sharing about our experiences too as a student veteran. I was a student veteran, and having an open dialogue about that with other classmates who might not understand the military, or that how difficult that transition can be, is really part of our responsibility too. So it's outreach to student veterans, but outreach in raising that awareness about student veterans too. So that's a big part of this as well. And innovative strategies, we're working with the campuses over the last couple of years and through the pandemic. Boy, have they've gotten very creative and innovative strategies to connect with one another. Some of those events are welcome events, of course, and now online videos, but we've seen drive-through informational booths from a campus in Texas, a video game. I forget the name of the video game because I don't play video games, but it was almost like a regional event. They had hundreds of students come and attend this gaming forum, and it was just they shared it on behalf of the student veterans. They were the ones who represented or came up with the idea and then just shared it with the community. So that was a really cool outreach event as well. And then outreach is connecting with the Student Veterans Association chapter, if you have one on campus, SBO, SBA, or other areas where you find student veteran leaders. And then raising awareness, we help those individuals write newspaper articles, especially during the time of right now. Veterans Week is a very good time to be writing those newspaper articles about your student veterans and interviews for your student veterans, even a booth in the student union. So just creative ways, Facebook pages. We've seen texting, group me events, parties. I'm aging myself, but maybe it's just because I haven't leaned into that side of all of those technologies. But it's really cool how the students are finding ways to outreach and connect with one another. And here are a couple of images of our campuses getting together for some runs or just hanging out outside. And we all know that when we are connected to something, we feel that stronger sense of belonging, and in both on campus and in the community. And so outreach through PAVE can help reduce the isolation and improve overall well-being, as Michelle had mentioned. So I just have a video I'd like to share with you all.
One of the most stressful times is times of transition. There was a study that talked about the most stressful times in life, and it's like marriage, divorce, having children, losing children, and then transition from either job, school, work, all of those things where you actually have to change your lifestyle. And transitioning out of the military, which is highly structured, highly routine, to college, which is quite opposite. There's no connection between the two. So having people there to assist in that transition, and even if it's, just to say, hey, I've been there too, and give you some sense of understanding. I think that's the best thing to publicize, so that camaraderie that you have in the military transitions into this.
Transition at first was pretty stressful. There's very little sense of direction when you first get out of the military and you're transitioning into college. Just where to begin and who to talk to, how to get the whole process started really is it can be entirely new.
It was extremely frustrating to make that transition because, you're going into a new place with new people. You don't know anyone. So without having someone here to help you, it can be really difficult. Almost, if it weren't for those people, I probably would have quit, honestly.
Yeah, and so that power of connectedness, the last phrase that he mentioned, if it wasn't for those people, he probably would have quit. And that's why PAVE exists, because we don't want those individuals to quit because they don't feel like they have a sense of belonging.
One of the most
The second pillar is support. So it's helping student veterans transition to meet both their personal and academic goals. And it can be vague. So I always like to talk about what that can look like. And support, what does it look like? What does it sound like? So we ask our peer advisors and team leaders to reach out to the student veterans that are incoming through email, through a phone call. Hey, how are you doing? Do you want to meet for coffee? Do you want to go for a walk? So simple things like that. And how do you determine what type is needed? We teach the peer advisors to to ask those student veterans, to, have them talk about how their transition has been, and do that in a way that is welcoming. And those peer advisors are really great at listening and understanding that transition because they've been there. So that true peer-to-peer support. But we know it's unique for each student veteran, because although we've all, as a student veteran myself, although we've been there, each individual situation is different. So we always encourage the peer advisors to really ask the student veteran is how can we help? And we know support through the student life cycle is different. It's going to look different and sound different throughout their career on college campus. So you have your first semester as you're transitioning in, trying to get the financial aid, getting all those things started. Midterms looks different for all of us, depending on your study habits. It could be a lot of cramming. And then you go through finals, and there's holiday breaks where we really encourage our peer advisors and team leaders to stay connected with the students during those breaks, because it's easy to take a break ourselves. And then once you get out of your routine, you might need that nudge or that accountability to get back into the routine, to get back on campus, get back into your study habits. So it just looks different at different times throughout their student life cycle. And then the third pillar is resource linkage. It's identifying those resources. So PAVE doesn't look to recreate anything. We know there's a ton of great resources on each campus and a ton of great resources in your community. So we ask those teams to identify those commonly used ones, and then establish those relationships for easy access and referrals. So it's more than just knowing that the resource exists. It's knowing how they operate. It's knowing who to go to and talk and ask specific questions. It's knowing their hours, how that might change during a pandemic, or what forms to bring when you walk in the door. And so we ask them to develop a resource network. Several teams will invite community resources or campus resources to their team meetings and talk about it and share it and develop that network, introduce themselves as I'm a peer advisor, I'm a student veteran. How can I teach you about student veterans' needs as financial aid, or who's the best person to talk to in the financial aid office as a student veteran? Who typically works with student veterans? And then we ask them to build and update that resource guide as they learn more and reach out to more resources. And then providing that warm handoff. I always like a warm handoff to be, if somebody comes into my office or as a peer advisor, someone like, hey, Callie, what do you know about financial aid? And I said, well, I know Joe, he's down there. Let me give him a call and let him know that you're coming. So, hey, Joe, so-and-so is coming to your office, and really providing that warm handoff so we know that nobody's left behind, that there's that follow through. And so that's a really great way that we're teaching the teams to provide that warm handoff and connect them with the resources that they need. Cultivating those relationships and defining the referral process. I talked a little bit about it, but understanding what forms you need to bring or what hours they do certain things. So different offices will only process IDs at a certain time, or they only tutor math at a certain time. So knowing that whole process and sharing that with the student veteran is important, because the more we know about a resource and the more we know about where to park and who to look for and what color the office is, the more likely we're going to use that resource, more comfortable we feel going to it. And then having a point of contact, it ensures that there's no black hole. So some of the essential elements of PAVE are listed. I want to highlight, one is the opt-out model. In the beginning, we didn't use the opt-out model. It was an opt-in model, and we were finding that we weren't reaching the number of student veterans that we wanted to, and we should be, because it was something that wasn't just already there for them. So they got to, if they didn't know about the program, they weren't going to necessarily be a part of it. But opt-out model is that every incoming student veteran now is a part of a program, and it really normalizes it, because this is a program for you. You don't have to ask for help, or you don't have to ask to have a peer advisor. You already have one. Just like any other student resource on campus, it's there for all the students. It's yours. And so that really it really shifted the amount of student veterans that were being reached. And immediately when they come to campus, they're getting emails from their peer advisors saying, hey, welcome, you're part of this, and come meet me and let's have coffee. And so that's a really great model approach that we've seen successful over the years. And the other one is that warm handoff is really big for PAVE as well. I know I talked a little bit about it, but it really makes a difference. Student veterans have mentioned when we talk with them that, yeah, they just told me that these offices are here, or they just not the like they've gone to different departments and they kind of get left off, or like go to the website and do this. Well, if you don't know where the website is and you don't know how to get there, or you don't, so it's just those warm handoffs are really, really important to the program and the student veterans. Some of the components we have for each team on campus is in-person training. We've been doing it virtually since the pandemic, but I'm not going to change the slide because I'm hopeful for in-person one day again. So we have in-person training and web-based training for all users. With that web-based training, there's an admin console, and it's nice because all of the work that your team is doing, that the student veterans are doing, they get to see that. They can go on there, and their veteran service coordinator, Phil, can download that information and say, look at how many student veterans you connected with this semester. And that's really incredible. We have a mobile and web-based tracking as well. It's not a true app, but it's a friendly version of the website, and it allows those peer advisors to connect their student veterans with resources anywhere, because what student is leaving their phone at home? I know that not many. So it's nice to have that availability on your phone. Ongoing implementation support, we're here to support each campus individually and uniquely as they are. We'll provide support in ways that can reach more student veterans for them. And then reporting on usage and trends. We will also take the information that's in the platform and share it with each campus at the end of their term. It helps to identify any areas and gaps in services. Some campuses had said, oh, I didn't realize that we could make a more robust program in such and such area. And so that's been helpful for them. Just learning about what the student veterans are asking for. It's nice to know to continue to support them. These are some images of the web-based training. Swift onboarding ensures program fidelity, and it also ensures that no student veteran is left behind, because we know that our team leaders and peer advisors will go on to graduate, and we want them to, and that's awesome. But as they do that, new peer advisors and team leaders will need to be trained. And so this allows them to be trained at any time and at a pace that fits their campus schedule. And this is just a snapshot of the admin console. It's nice for the Phils of the world to pull that information. We've heard from veteran service coordinators that money and space is hard to come by on campus. And so this helps to show the work that your campus teams have been doing and how many student veterans you're reaching. But also it's showing your team that the work they did matters. So it's really cool. Okay. And then the impact that PAVE has on students in campus. I want to share a short video with you all. Oh. Did it go? Oh, my last one worked so well. That's so strange. It's such a good video. Maybe I'm gonna stop share and pull it up here. Okay. Thanks for being patient with me. I just really want to share this video with you all.
Basically, the program, I'd say, like, saved me in a way because I didn't want to go back to the Army. It was just kind of an easy way out. So if you guys are ever feeling, down or like just need to talk about anything, there's so many resources here. All you have to do is ask.
I got out and I tried going back to school several times and was unsuccessful. Had a lot of transition issues. Went to the VA trying to get help. Same old story everyone tells, wasn't getting the help needed. Did a lot of drinking, things like that. Getting in trouble, digging myself a hole.
These students have a transition to make from being in the military, where you don't have a ton of decision-making abilities as far as what is your day structured like. You know when you're going to do this, when you're going to do that kind of thing. And then when you get into civilian world or college life, there's a lot of choices there. So having someone to help you navigate that is really important.
And so from that premise, we wanted to really focus on, okay, what can we do to help that transition? Not only to get them into school, but to also to succeed in accomplishing their goals and obviously graduate or transfer if that's their goal.
I started here in 2014. The way that they handle veterans here at JCCC was different. It was come in and actually bring you in. They walk you through the process. They make sure you know what you need. They're here to serve the student, a veteran helping veteran model also. So, when you come to the door, it's a pretty good chance the person helping you out is going to be a veteran. The only person who's not a veteran is the big boss. The first week before school, like that whole week and on, we're certifying half the students. So PAVE is Peer Advisors for Veterans Education. It's a program that started in the University of Michigan, and it's connecting incoming veteran students with a veteran student who's been successful on campus and has been trained to be a peer advisor. So they're familiar with all the resources and stuff on campus, how to address issues and solve problems. And then they are managed and trained by myself.
I am one of 2 dependents that currently work here. It's mostly military. And if a lot of veterans have complained about other places where that hasn't been the case, and they need to be able to connect or use the lingo or say certain things and just speak to somebody who's been there. It's an opportunity for me to practice leadership skills and reaching out to others and just things like that. And then for the people on the receiving end, it's the nudge you need to get involved in this program.
Commencement is the 24th.
24th.
Yes. So May 24th is when we will have the PAVE end of the semester grad ceremony.
When I got out of the military, I figured I was good. Like, there was no problems. Then the more I went along and the more I figured out, like, maybe I'm not so good.
Cases like Eric's, I am usually the peer advisor for those people. So my other peer advisors will have maybe 10 to 12 people. I usually have like 5 people who really need a lot more attention or direction. Eric, when he came into the office, was ready to step up and try and make changes in his life, but he wasn't that far removed from a moment when he was making a lot of bad decisions. And having been someone who's dug himself big holes, and you try to get out of that hole and you make a little bit of progress, it's easy to turn right back around and start digging again. So I'm not, completely sure, but I'm pretty sure that was probably a pivotal moment in his life.
I'm now attending classes, and you know, my GPA and my attendance has risen. If you want help coming back from a dark place where you can't find out who you are after you were in the military, you go to someone who left the dark place, who was there. All right, brother. Who, and they can tell you how to do it. They can help you through it. It makes a difference.
I just like to say thank you to everyone who came out today. So for the new students, this is our PAVE program, Peer Advisors for Veterans Education. Now you've graduated UMKC as well.
I highly recommend it. It will help you.
And so we've seen some early successes as far as retention is concerned. So we're excited about that because obviously the more we can keep them in school, each semester that we gain gains more success.
So I think that the success of our program, our Veterans Center, really has been a part of the peer model, veterans serving veterans, because those who serve our country typically are wanting to serve others.
Everyone's willing to help. So in all honesty, it's been very easy for me.
Oh, what a great video. I just love that because, well, they're just getting together and having that camaraderie again, sharing those experiences and helping each other. And I liked what Kenna at JCC said, that is those who served typically like to give back in other ways. You know, Phil and I talked about it yesterday. We're in more of like those serving professions. Both Phil and I are, and we served in the military as well. So we're looking to give back in other ways. So being part of PAVE is a really great opportunity for them. Okay. Okay. As I transitioned out. Okay, so this is a slide that shows just the impact that PAVE has had over just not only just the student veterans, but those staff members too. So over 1,400 peer advisors and team leaders are trained, and we've connected with over 20,000 student veterans and still connecting as we keep implementing on those 45 campuses. We that number seems large, but we know that there's way more that we can reach. So we're just eager to be connecting with more students every day. I'd like to highlight that some of the bolded items here is it made everything easier and just to be comfortable. And then, one of the peer advisors says it's important for veterans to be around for support. It's nice to just have that sense of belonging, walk in, and I kind of relate being a veteran or having that camaraderie to my sister's relationship. But our relationship is that you've been through so much. She and I, grew up on a farm. We've been through so much that we could walk into a room and just kind of look at each other and sigh, and we could tell each other's story. So there's like moments where you just know. And so having that special bond for student veterans is really a great opportunity for them. And it's a nice space to feel comfortable. And then, some of the university administration or administrator, and what we heard in the video was talking about that successful transition, but then the retention rates of those student veterans. So that's really great. The PAVE helps student veterans greater sense of belonging and connectedness to campus. We know that the more likely you feel a belonging and connectedness, more like you are to succeed, both in your campus, personal, community life as well. And the PAVE participants endorsed a greater reduction in stigma as those barriers to seeking mental health. And that's huge. So if you feel comfortable asking for help, and then you're going to share your experience with other student veterans, and hopefully that spreads and we can continue to reduce that stigma as we go on, whether you're part of PAVE or not, student veterans, and we hope to reduce that stigma for them. So increasing the knowledge and skills, we saw that over 90, well, 99, well, look at those numbers, 99 to 100%. Those are really great numbers. I know it's our program, but we love just, you know, teaching about student veterans, teaching student veterans about different strategies. So knowing strategies to engage in outreach with student veterans, that's huge, and feeling confident to talk with student veterans about their needs. We often hear that, you know, I don't know how to approach a student veteran, or I don't know what to say. So having a 99% agreeing, saying, you know, I feel comfortable now and confident talking with the student veteran is really great. Importance of building a resource network, and then linking students with the warm handoffs. I can't say enough great things about warm handoffs. It's really wonderful. And so teaching those, it doesn't always come, maybe it's not always an intuitive process. It's like, it's easy to say, yes, go ahead and go see the financial aid office, but really that warm handoff and that follow through and follow up is great. And then, yeah, overall 94% satisfied with that online training, and then 97% contain useful information. And then after implementing PAVE, we see that campus teams are easier to plan and track outreach activities. We work with campuses on a regular basis to help identify the best outreach activities that would fit their students and their student veterans, and higher attendance by new student veterans. So that's big in campus activities. So we encourage student veterans to be a part of PAVE, but also be a part of your community, other student-led organizations, go to others, multicultural student events, attend those. And so greater connections of student veterans to each other and to their veteran services, more awareness of their needs and resources available for those student veterans, and then more support for those goals and assisting student veterans. So again, it's that awareness of student veterans, their needs, and educating students, staff, faculty about that as well. And so 96% said yes, they would recommend PAVE to other campuses. So that's wonderful. And look at all these happy PAVE members, aren't they? It's just nice to see the communities getting together. And, you know, just as any other student-led organization, it's PAVE. That's why it's an opt-out model. It's a program that's there, that's for student veterans, and they have a blast. They do things in the community. They build homes. They run races. They do scavenger hunts. Those I don't know, those like mystery solve games. I've never done one, so I don't exactly know what they're called, but it's really fascinating. We get pictures and stories about all the really great work that they're doing all the time, and I'm just so happy to share that with you. You know, here's a few snapshots, but they share it on their Facebook pages and their veteran services webpage for their campuses too. And this is these are communities that we talk about veterans serving, and you know, those are your sisters and brothers you have a lifelong bond with, and so are the members of your PAVE team now. These pictures remind me of the pictures that I would take with my service members when I was serving. So it's nice to see that camaraderie and that bonding again. And then overall, the campus teams, the impact of PAVE, you know, some of the quotes that we've been able to intervene for veterans who are in crisis and tough spots. And so we know that it's crisis and tough spots, but also anything that is on the student veterans' minds, like, well, where's the best place to park or get a good cup of coffee? Because the coffee down the road is terrible. So it's nice to read these. Veterans are doing better in classes. We have fewer failing grades. Providing a focused approach to peer-to-peer advising. That's really great to hear for feedback, because that's what we wanted to. We wanted to have a formalized, that focused approach that gives directions for those peer advisors to connect with their student veterans, to give them the linkage to the appropriate resources and to follow up with them. So that really focused approach. Training and support from PAVE has been invaluable. Tracking data and monitoring the peer advisors through the portal has been super useful. And we view PAVE as a cornerstone program for student veterans. So with that, that ends our presentation, but we're happy to open it up to any questions. And then if you do have questions, let us know if you're a student or a staff or faculty member too. And I'm just curious. Escape rooms, yeah.
I think that's what you were thinking of
Yeah,
when
it
you were
was.
thinking of mysteries, because I remember the pictures from their escape room outing.
Yeah.
I have not done one of those either. I'm afraid I would get stuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that there aren't any questions since we're not getting anything in chat. Kelly, I don't know if you want to go ahead and put your email address in the chat, maybe in case anybody wants to follow up with you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I do want to thank you both for being here and virtually and presenting today. And I hope also everyone listening can join us for our other Veterans Week events. So it's vets.umich.edu/Vets Week or Veterans Week, or it's just there on our vets.umich.edu page too. Thank you, Callie, very much for your time yesterday and today. And Dr. Keys, always a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you for both for all the great work you guys do in PAVE Central. And it always energizes me to see your presentation and always reminds me of all the other things I need to do too. So I'm like, oh, cool. I gotta do this. I gotta get you on this.
Phil, you have long been a champion of PAVE, and we have so enjoyed the relationship over the years and are really grateful for all you do and appreciate the partnership. So definitely a love fest from us as well.
Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you both soon. Hopefully we get to do some in-person PAVE meetings at some point in time, and I really miss those, and we shall see. So I do thank you both for your time today and a great presentation, a lot of great information.
Thank you, Phil.
Take good care.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Thank you.